it's okay to not be okay, right? And how do I know this? Because I've not been okay, right? And I and,
Right?
and I could not be okay right now and still be able to speak life into someone else, and that really gives me the reminder. A lot of times pastors, right? I really admire pastors, but I also understand the weight of the mantle that they carry, or religious leaders. Let me not even say.
Welcome to Success Leaves Clues, the podcast where we interview business owners on how they built their businesses and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Wynn, and I'm a business coach and the founder of Purple Circle, where we help business owners achieve their first 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure year, all without sacrificing their quality of life. Before becoming a business coach and before founding Purple Circle, I started and scaled several 7- and 8-figure coaching businesses, and have been a consultant at several businesses doing over $100 million each, including some that are publicly listed and doing over $1 billion each. In every episode of the podcast, you're going to learn lessons that took our guests years to learn, and you'll be able to learn that in minutes. No matter if you're a new business owner or an established business owner, every episode is going to give you the clues in order to elevate your business.
Welcome to Success Leaves Clues podcast. I'm Pedro, and today I'm joined by Kenny Brown, a former senior federal bank regulator, CPA, and founder of Vibe Tribe University, whose 13 plus years as a senior risk management examiner, examining institutions ranging from 20 million to 450 billion in assets, gives him a perspective on financial risk and leadership that very few coaches can match. Kenny's journey from examining the nation's most complex financial institutions to creating the ESAP leadership framework focused on emotional intelligence, self-awareness, accountability, and purpose reflects his belief that regulatory excellence and human-centered performance are deeply connected. Kenny's background as a former student athlete, music industry talent manager, and mental performance coach adds a dimension to his work that goes far beyond traditional financial advisory, helping leaders, financial institutions, and community partners navigate complexity with clarity and resilience. His platform, Vibe Tribe University, brings together advisory, training, wellness, and educational support in a way that proves that changing the vibe of an organization starts with developing the whole person. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
I appreciate you having me, man. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm excited from the day we met, and Kenny, not sure if you know, but I'm kind of a comic book nerd myself in a way,
Okay.
right? So I love the first edition, man. You know the origin story and all that entails. So let's rewind a bit, because every coach has a moment where they look at their life and say, "Yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now," right? So when was that for you, man?
Man, I would say January 2025, to be honest. I've been a coach for about 7 years. I started this in 2019, but I think I had my realization, my awakening moment years afterwards, right? I was kind of doing it part-time on top of my career with the federal government and with music, and I was transitioning, kind of going through an identity crisis, going through my own healing professional journey in 2019, pre-COVID. I started kind of just wanting to give back, speak, teach, coach, and then, but I still kind of had my baseline paycheck, right? So I was kind of moonlighting, doing it. But I would say when I finally decided to step into entrepreneurship full time, right, and really own it and put my all into it and my livelihood into it, that's when I finally looked up and I had my moment to say, okay, well, this is who I am now. Right, I'm no longer defined by any of the prior titles, any of the prior roles that I've served in. Now, this is who I am. I'm the mindset coach, and I'm the founder of Vibe Tribe University. I'm a mission-driven, service-driven individual that's trying to bring transformation and change and resources to people that need the help.
Okay. Now I want to dive into a little bit here in the leap of faith in a way, right? You cross the line in the sand with which was January 25, as you mentioned. You were doing this part time for almost like 6 years, right? Something like that. And then you're like, yeah, I want to do this full time, as it
Yeah.
sounds like. Can you walk us through the emotions of that? Like, I've seen a lot of coaches avoiding that leap, right? And how did that felt for you? Like when you were like all in, did it felt right? Was it scary? Was it a roller coaster of emotions? Just for coaches listening out there, how did that look like?
It was the scariest thing I have ever done in my life, but it was one of the most empowering things that I've ever felt in my life. Fear has a very interesting effect on us depending on how you use it, right? And my fear of staying the same outweighed my fear of being uncomfortable and taking risks and going all in on myself. I spent years trying to build other people, serve other people, build other people's brands, work for other corporations. And I decided to just believe in myself, for the first time in I would say the first time in terms of my livelihood is concerned. And it was probably one of the most scariest things I've ever done. And I can tell you honestly, it's the most challenging thing that I've ever done in my life because it's no longer about what other people expect of you. It's about what I expect of me and who I truly am and not who people want me to be, And so even more so just from a livelihood perspective, I've been working since I graduated college. So I've always had a paycheck, and no matter whether I felt like doing the work or not, and I just showed up for work, I still was getting a check on a certain day. And so as an entrepreneur going all in with this, it's different, right? And the difference is I'm not doing it for a paycheck, but I also know that you can't decide to be a full-time entrepreneur and not expect to have some type of profit initiative tied to what it is you're doing. So it was probably emotionally not even probably, it was one of the most liberating feelings to be able to take ownership of my own future, take ownership of my own income generating potential. But it was also one of the most challenging things and scariest things that I've probably ever done in my life because I got rid of the safety net underneath me, right? And I had to really jump out on faith.
Dude, isn't it wild, right? When I'm thinking about entrepreneurship, it's such a roller coaster of emotions. And if you put things in perspective, like you said, oh, I had to believe in myself. Like people were hiring you and they believed in you, right? So why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? It's like it always makes no sense because I worked in corporate too, right? And I was in banking, I was in consulting firms, and then I actually did the leap too, right? Went to I have my own business and all that, and it's such a soul wrecking experience. You're like people are letting you down, people are trying to take advantage of it. So wild, and at the same time you question your own value, right? Am I worth it to charge X, Y, and Z? Who am I to do X, Y, and Z? You're trying to mature yourself at the same time, and you question every step, at least in the early days. I'm not sure if that felt like for you, but it like totally felt like for me.
That is exactly what it's even to this day, man. Imposter syndrome. That's kind of what we're talking about, right? Am I enough? Am I really giving the value that I think I'm giving? Why would people, am I qualified enough? Right? Why would people want to pay me for this? Am I getting over on people? Right? Like these are all, questions that go through your head. And I think over time, you get the validation and you kind of get the confirmation along the journey by people giving you that aha moment, people giving you that, hey man, like I prayed about this and you changed my life. And I think those type of testimonials and that type of transformational results that people get and they come back to you and with the gratitude, I think that's what is verifying that, okay, I'm doing what I'm called to do. But in another breath, it's more so like I would do it for free. Even if there was before there was any profit initiative to it, I was doing it for free. And so, and people found value in it, which is why it gave me more faith and enthusiasm to say, you know what, I can do this, right? I would do it if no check was involved. If I didn't have bills and didn't have, to have to keep up with lifestyle, I would still do this, which is why that's what I know I'm called to do, and it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like I'm really helping. I'm making a difference. It feels like I'm paying my tax on the blessings that I'm getting every day.
Dude, I love the fact that you brought something up here, which is almost like what I call a cornerstone, something to anchor yourself when you're getting those, thoughts about imposter syndrome is just look at reality, man. Right? Uh, I believe you got a lot of testimonials, people you helped, even for free. That whenever you're thinking about stuff, and even if I am, I go back to those moments, right? Try to anchor myself and just say, dude, that's just not reality. Take a deep breath, and move forward.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. So I'm curious about another thing right now. Because in the early days, and I know you have two practices, right? You have the Vibe Tribe University, you have your mindset coaching, and one of the basically the foundation for the other. But
Mhm.
I'm curious about the evolution of who you serve, right? After you got rolling, especially in the early days, we're trying to serve everyone in the coaching space. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's your case, but we're like just trying to make ends meet, trying to see if this is gonna land, right? And even sometimes put it in the reps, right? Can I help someone, But eventually, we sharpen the blade a little bit. Let's put it like that, and we attract a certain type of people, or we niche down, right? So, can you walk me through the evolution of early days, evolution on your ICP, right? Your ideal client profile, and who you serve now?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I started motivational speaking. I just started speaking for free. In 2019, I decided, during my transition, I branded myself as Kenny B Speaks because I wanted to set boundaries. It was a personal endeavor. I was going through a very gut wrenching and heartbreaking experience in relationally, romantically. And I was trying to heal from some of the patterns and some of the behaviors and some of the cycles that I kept repeating, time after time after time. And I had a message that I wanted to give people about, just kind of healing, transformation, forgiveness, things like that. So I went to volunteer to nonprofit organizations and to community partners to kind of just speak and for free. And as I did that, there were individuals that were coming up to me, just kind of just saying, "Hey, man, something told me to come today. God, I prayed about it. The message you gave was spot on. Like, how can I get in contact with you? Do you do coaching? Can you mentor me? It feel like you have a lot to offer." And at that point, I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went into just kind of taking everybody. Right, I felt like everybody. If you hear my voice and you're moved by the sound of my voice and the message, then you're for me. And I started taking on clients, and I started charging $35, just for an hour. And the amount of clients that I got was overwhelming, but also the amount of problems that they were dealing with and issues was also overwhelming. And so I ended up kind of wanting to scale it down, right, by charging more, right. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, well, let me just move the price from $35 to $50, and people kept coming, kept paying, right, even more people, right. And then I was like, well, dang, like, okay, well, then COVID hit, right. COVID comes in, I can't speak, because we couldn't travel, everything's on lockdown. So I ended up writing an e-guide, and it was how to develop emotional intelligence. It was a step-by-step guide to developing stronger relationships and healing, your emotional patterns. And people started consuming that, and even more people started wanting to sign up for coaching. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go from $50 to $75. They kept paying. I was like, oh my God. Right. So at this point, imposter syndrome starts to kick in. Like, yo, I'm not a psychologist. Like, I'm not a therapist. Like, I don't have any credentials that actually say that, hey, this is what, this is my coaching practice. Like, it was just, I just want to help people. Right. And so people would pay and they would get real transformation and they would keep coming back. And so at that point, I was like, okay, right. Well, I can't take on all of this and give everybody an hour of my time because I still had a full-time job. Right. So it's like, well, how do I do this? Right. So at that point, I said, I'm going to scale down. I'm not just going to take anybody that's coming to me because there was also some bad apples in there, people that just wanted to test it out, get a free consultation, get a free session, and they never come back. Or somebody that would come in kind of, hey, let me pick your brain for a second, which is like a trigger phrase for let me get something for free and knowing I'm not going to come back to you. Right. And so at that point, I said, I need to scale where I can kind of take groups at a time, and I can really decide who is my niche audience. And so that's when I created Vibe Tribe University, and it went into kind of group classes and group sessions, and everybody was kind of on the same path. And I used my ESAP coaching framework to kind of guide those coaching sessions, and recognize that as I went after a coaching certification, that I was using the same framework that that coaches were trained to use, and I didn't even know it, right? But then I also said, okay, well, now let me sell a product, right? I was selling a service, but now let me sell a product. And the challenge I had with being a new coach is, well, I'm the product, right? So, and I can be relatable to everyone, but that doesn't mean that everybody's my ideal client. So, who am I most relatable to? So, I had to create my avatar based on my own experience. Who can I relate to? Right? I'm an athlete, so let me coach athletes, student athletes. I'm a military kid that dealt with change and travel, so let me deal with people, with kids that maybe are from military children, right? I'm a corporate professional, a young black man that just tried to find his way after school and tried to transition from being a student athlete to a professional. So let me coach people that's within the ages of 24 and 30 that are in that transitionary period, going from being a student athlete into a corporate setting. So let me try to go after people that I can genuinely relate to, right? And so that's kind of how I was able to nail it down to a specific avatar, coaching client avatar that was relatable. And then on top of that, I went to issues, right? Let me go to people that's dealing with imposter syndrome. Let me get people that's experiencing emotional and mental burnout, right? Let me go to people that's experiencing financial hardship, right? And financial strain, because I'm a CPA, I'm an accountant, right? So with that being the case, let me help people that's trying to get their financial life together. And at that point, that's how I got into the 6 pillars of wellness that I also use within Vibe Tribe University. So it's been trial and error and just a story over time, man.
Thinking about it, it looks like you're serving past Kenny, right? In a way, it's you. It's like your entire story, right? You were an athlete, and you shifted from to corporate, professional, that age, and imposter syndrome. It's almost like you're describing me, you, right? In a way that it's just like been there, done that. I can help people with that, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So let's do a little bit of a game of pretend here, Kenny. Let's pretend I'm your ideal client profile, okay,
Mhm.
for Vibe Tribe. And first of all, how would I be able to find you, right, marketing wise?
Okay. So first of all, you would go to Vibe Tribe U or vibetribeuniversity.com, or Vibe Tribe U, the letter U.com. You can also find it through kennybspeaks.com. So there's multiple different URLs, and they kind of all kind of connect to each other. But those are the first two. You'll go to kennybspeaks.com, sign up for a coaching session. At that point, you'll get on the calendar, and then we'll have our one-on-one consultation, our free consultation, and then I'll just kind of do an assessment of kind of where you are using the 4-part framework that we have.
Okay. So I went through your website, right? What you got there out there resonated with me on social media, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I gotta talk to Kenny, right? So I booked my call and hopped on a call. I understand it's almost like a discovery call. You're trying to understand if you can help me, even if I'm a good fit too, right? It's not just about you trying to serve me. It's an exchange. I get that 100%. But let's
Yeah.
say there's alignment, right? I'm going to be onboarded. We can put it simply like that. What I want to know is like if you could give me a little peek behind the curtain, right? A little bit of understanding of how does it look like to work with you and your business, and the outcomes I can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I walk you through a 4-part process, right? So our coaching relationship would start with an evaluation of E's. First of all, your expectations, right? What the root cause of your expectations? Where do they come from? Are they internal facing or external facing? Meaning, what are the things that you expect of yourself because society put these things on you, because your parents or your position or your role in life put these things on you, or is it because you genuinely want to be these things for yourself, right? Because ultimately that is going to determine how adamant and how serious you are and where you prioritize these things and the goals that you set. So we'll go from determining the root cause of your expectations to determining how that goes into your priorities, in life, right? And then we basically set goals. We set a 90-day plan for you to reach your goals. Our second session will go into structure, right? I believe that people thrive in specific structures, whether that be K through 12 education, whether it be a 4 or 5 year college program, the military, athletic program, a church organization. Everybody has been experiencing a specific structure in your life that you have thrived in. So let's go back to what has actually shown itself to be successful. Success leaves clues, right?
Hmm.
And let's recreate that for yourself. A lot of time the fall off that we have is because there's structures that's been given to us by other people, and when we're no longer associated with those particular organizations or those particular structure, then we can't develop it for ourselves. So what my coaching process involves is, let's set the expectations, let's set your priorities, let's set the goals, let's set the structure that can help you meet those goals. And then the third session will be about accountability, right? The big A that everybody wants to stay away from, right? Accountability. And that's a personal thing, right? That also goes into how self-aware are you, right? How much self-control do you have, right? Let's talk about delayed gratification and your relationship with having to wait, right? And really work without seeing the results, and how you manage your emotions and your mindset while doing these things, right? And so as we kind of go through this, and then the fourth session is, let's progress. Let's measure progress, right? What are our targets? What does the end result look like? And so at that point, after you get through the first 4 sessions, we should have a pretty good understanding of exactly where it is we're going, what the goals are that we have, what the structure is, and what the schedule is to meet those goals. And are we staying accountable? The accountability part is all on you. Now, as your coach, I partner with you. I'm not a therapist, right? Your therapist is going to try to, listen to you, help you self-diagnose in a lot of cases, but they're not going to ultimately prescribe anything, or they're not going to basically, try to diagnose you with anything. They're just going to listen, right? Where a coach, in my coaching practice, as well as a lot of coaches, we're accountability partners. We're the push. We're the reminder, right? But that also puts pressure on us as coaches, because we also have to be the example, right? We also got to be the prototype, right? Who am I to tell you to get up and be accountable when I'm not being accountable? Who am I to tell you to be timely when I'm not timely, right? So credibility is key in terms of coaching. So my job is to make sure that I'm being credible enough for you to trust what I'm saying, and for you to continue to buy into the program that you signed up for. And as you get the transformation or the progress that you're looking for, in the form of transformation, in the form of progression in your personal life, then my program works. At that point, you got your testimony, right? And so that's kind of how we would walk through it in the first 4 sessions, which could happen bi-weekly. We do the cadence is based on your actual personal need, right? So those first 4 sessions will probably be one week after each other, and then after we go through the first 4, then we'll do either twice or once a week, or once every 2 weeks, sorry, bi-weekly. And then we'll just kind of rinse and repeat. After the 6 month mark, we'll reassess and we'll figure out what worked and what didn't, and we'll tweak it and we'll keep going.
Okay, interesting. Let me ask you this. If I got it right, we're talking about mainly structure-wise a one-on-one coaching practice, or is there a group component, or is there an online thing? Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the structure.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So after you get the ESAP, that's what I just described is our ESAP coaching framework. After that, and you kind of get your coaching plan, that's where Vibe Tribe University comes in. We have a $97 a month monthly membership where you're able to get access to other coaches, not just myself, but these other coaches also follow the ESAP program as well. So we call them wellness advisors, right? And in those wellness as part of wellness advisory, we have the 6 pillars of wellness that we focus on: spiritual wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness, and relational wellness. Okay. And based on those, we have classes and courses that you can actually take. We have group classes, we have individual classes, we have bi-weekly coaching sessions, we have a community chats and community kind of forums where you can kind of bring your challenges to the community. We have Facebook groups. We have a bi-weekly newsletter through Vibe Tribe Digest where we kind of give out different and things that are going on in the community, service opportunities, networking opportunities. And then we have a service driven ecosystem. We're still in the process of building it out fully, but we've started with an ecosystem of service providers, wellness service providers that can give you access to mental health coaching, counseling, behavior health support, personal training, nutrition, internet, right? For those that are looking for just basic internet, insurance policies. If you're looking for maybe Obamacare or something like that, just a cheap insurance policy. And most of these organizations and providers are cash-based providers, right? So because we're serving low income, or low to moderate income individuals or families that can't afford the top dollar prices that these service providers provide, or they just don't have insurance. So, coming with a monthly membership opens up this ecosystem and this support group. The Vibe Tribe gives you access to the Vibe Tribe, which are mission driven individuals that are committed to helping you on your personal journey of wellness.
Okay. Now, Kenny, let's pretend I joined. Okay.
Mhm.
And the irony of it is like I missed the third step, the accountability, the big A you mentioned. Like I no
Yeah,
showed you. Okay.
yeah.
How do you navigate that type of engagement, right? Because sometimes I see people romanticizing the fact that they want to change, but they're not putting in the work. They're like, oh yeah, I'm doing something, but not really. Or maybe I'm just like no showing, I'm just pretending to be doing this. How would you navigate me as a client, you know?
I mean, two different ways. Well, the first thing, before you even kind of get into how, I think the mindset is timing is everything. People change when they're ready to change, not when you want them to change, right? People get sick of their own stuff and then they want to do something about it. Or life throws a circumstance at them to where they have to change in order to survive, right? Death, loss, job loss, suffering of some sort, whether it be emotional, relational, financial, heartache, people, that is a very big catalyst of change. And a lot of times the things that starts personal transformation. So that's the first thing, understanding that someone else's transformation and change is not on your clock, right? It's not on my clock as a coach, right? I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it, right? And I can lead you to knowledge, but I can't make you think it, right? So the reality is that it's more so releasing the desire to control the timing
Mm.
of their transformation and just giving them the support that they need in the season that they're in. So that also comes with, I want to remind you that you're paying for this, right? And there's a emotional investment that goes into when you pay for something, right? Which is why I stopped taking free counseling. I'll give you the first consultation, but I'm not just giving you free services because I'm more emotionally invested in your transformation than you are, right? But what I've noticed is when somebody puts the money where their mouth is,
Mm.
then they're going to show up. Why? Because I'm paying for it, right? I'm
Dude.
coming because I paid, right? Even if you don't want to go to that movie, guess what? You're probably going to go. Why? Because you bought the ticket. But if the ticket was for free and you felt like you didn't want to go no more, are you still going to push yourself to go to the movie?
And
No.
it's raining, right? I
You're
don't
going to
want
give
to go.
yourself so many excuses of why I'm not
Uh-huh.
going to do it because I'm not emotionally invested because there was no sacrifice,
Mm.
right? There's no real victory if there's no real sacrifice, right? If you're handed something for free or you accomplish something for free, even in your relationship, let's just say, is it truly a victory in your relationship if you did not sacrifice anything along the way? Right?
Mm.
When you get married at that altar, when you're looking at your husband or your wife and you're saying those vows and y'all finally raise your hand in victory that we actually made it past the altar, like, is it really a victory if nobody had to sacrifice?
I love the reminder. Okay. Now, I'm very curious about one thing, and which is future, right? So, where are you taking all this, man? I mean, what's exciting? I mean, what's next?
I mean, for us, we want to scale, right? We're in the process of bringing transformation, not just to Georgia, not just to Atlanta, not just to the Southeast United States, not just the United States at all, but overall globally. right? I have a vision for our organization to be almost like Boys and Girls Club of America, Boy Scouts of America, right? Girl Scouts of America, right? There's United Way. There's foundations that have left clues of success on how you can take your mission and take your message on a global scale to bring transformation to just humans, of various different cultures, various different backgrounds, religions, various different languages. And that's what we want to do. We want to be a global impact organization, right? We want to go from community impact to regional impact to domestic impact to international impact to global impact. And that looks like having our own facilities similar to what you would get in, say, a United Way or a community center, and having these wellness centers called Vibe Tribe University campuses, right, in multiple different areas throughout this, not just the Southeast, but also the United States and other countries, where people can come to a community center and almost like a not a Boys and Girls Club, but almost like a fitness center, right? You can come get coaching,
Mm,
you can come get classes, you can come get fitness and wellness, you can come get therapy, you can come get spa, you can come get the things that are related to that six pillars of wellness. And then we also want to collaborate and partner with community driven organizations, community impact partners that are of the same mindset, and we want to scale, and so we want to serve, man.
nice. Oh, I love the mission, man. Now, obviously, whenever we're going towards something new, right? Always something we're refining, right? Sharpen the blade. So, what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business right now?
Our direct to consumer relationship and being able to formalize and really structure out our marketing process and our sales funnels. We're still in the growth phase, right? We're still trying to figure it out. 7 years in doesn't mean that you've been doing it for 7 years. It just means that you've evolved and probably failed multiple times to get to where you are over 7 years, right? And so we've been able to develop relationships with B2B, from just from to other community partners, colleges and universities and things of that nature. But we also want to get into government contracts, with being able to go into the Department of Defense and a lot of our government agencies to provide our services and our frameworks. We're also in the process of developing more direct to consumer abilities to sign up for classes and enroll in one-off classes without having to do a full membership or without having to do a full coaching plan or coaching program. And we want to open that up to not just teenagers and young adults, but also families and experienced professionals as well. And I would say the other thing that we're working on is developing employee assistance programs that are customized for small and medium sized businesses, almost like a one stop shop, using the Vibe Tribe business model. So we can eliminate the challenge of fragmented services that are offered to employees that don't have a mental and behavioral health focus to it. That's more proactive instead of being reactive.
Mm, interesting. Okay. Now let's step a little bit into sci-fi territory here, Kenny, if you allow
Okay.
me to. Okay.
Okay.
Let's pretend we have a time machine in front of us. Okay. And we're gonna have two stops. First stop, you go back in time. You can go back 7 years, or even when you made the jump for the full-time thing, you can pick the time you want best. And you can give yourself one piece of business advice you wish you knew back then that you know now.
Yeah.
What would that be?
I would probably go back to I would go back to the beginning. I would go back to and the advice I would give myself is stop paying for things that you're too lazy to learn for yourself. Stop paying for services and shortcuts
Mhm.
to that you because you're afraid to do it yourself and learn for yourself. Stop telling yourself that's not me. I can't. I don't have time for that. And learn it, because you will save yourself a lot of money. You will save yourself a lot of time in the long run by investing into learning how to do things that you're going to waste a lot of money paying people, others, to do for you, and it still may not be exactly what you had in mind.
Interesting.
That's one thing I would say, right? Quit trying to find shortcuts by paying people to do things that you are able to do for yourself. All right. I think in my journey, I've spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of time and money and resources that I can't get back. Trying to leverage other people's skill set because I thought that they could do it better or they can do it more efficiently than I could myself. And I learned that even in doing that, after paying and after spending so much time stressing over it getting done, that I still wasn't satisfied. It took me more time because I was kind of maybe micromanaging, maybe babysitting, maybe being a perfectionist, whatever it was. And I ended up having to do it for myself anyway. Right. So that's one thing. I think another one would be don't try to do everything on your own. Kind of contradicts itself, right? But right.
No, I'm going to stop you right there because I don't think it contradicts itself. Like, I think about this. I think do yourself, done with you, and done it for you. I think you're talking about the latter. Done it for you. Like, for example, coaching. It's done it with you, right? You learn in the process. So you hire a third party, but you learn in the process. That's exactly what you do, for example.
Mhm.
You're not opposing that. What you're opposing, it sounds like, is like totally external handoff. Like, do it for me. I don't care. I don't even want to know. Which is the latter, right? The done it for you. Like, did that make sense? Because I don't think
Yeah.
they contradict. They're at different levels of engagement, something like that.
Yeah, there's different levels, but meaning like when I say delegate or like you can't do it all yourself, I mean there's certain processes and certain elements of business that you need a team for, right? Trying to do it all on your own is just it's a
Mm.
wasted it's a lot. It's overwhelming, and I've had to learn over time to trust. You remember when we talked about in the beginning and we said, entrepreneurship is probably one of the most challenging things
Mm-hmm.
we have to do because it makes you face your own flaws. It makes you face the character of who you are and the issues that you have within yourself. I got trust issues, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't depend on people. It's hard for me to ask for help. It's hard for me to depend on other people to do things that I feel like I could need to do for myself. And it's hard for me to just take my hands completely off of the wheel and have blind faith in humans. Right. So that's
Mm.
an issue for me. And in that being an issue for me as a person, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, it manifests in the form of your business and the way that you conduct business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you end up taking on more things than you should by yourself. You end up not asking for help when you really do need it. You end up micromanaging people that can do the job, but that may not do it exactly how you want it to be done.
Mm.
Right. And so at that point, you do yourself a disservice because you're standing in your own way. It's not the fact that there aren't people that want to help. It's not the fact that you're not surrounded around qualified and capable individuals. It's the fact that you're so gung ho about controlling it, perfecting it, and you know being consumed with how responsible or it being your baby that you don't want nobody else to touch it. Right?
Dude,
That
to
can be a
me,
setback.
yeah, to me, that is like, I don't want to put faith in this, but, or we can call it universe or even faith. But to me, it sounds you're giving this calling. Let's call it a calling, what you have right now.
Yeah.
And the reason you're given that is the same challenge you're facing right now. Because if you're looking at a different lens, you would have people questioning you as a coach and facing almost like the same thing. Like, why would they be open, to share their own struggles if they're like, they don't trust people? They don't, this is like a challenge you're given, to my perspective, that is perfect considering the calling, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The coach has to be the prototype. Unfortunately, but fortunately, that's the call. The call is to show your
Yep.
flaws publicly and own them in a way where people can use them against you and also see relatability in who you are. That's one of the most challenging things for us. But think about it in just a basic relationship fashion, right? As men, right? We're taught
Hmm.
we're taught to lead in relationships, but we're not perfect. We got issues. We got things that we deal with, right? And no matter what our profession, what our paycheck, what the persona looks like, we still got flaws, man.
Mm.
And it's an act of vulnerability to show people, your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, your deepest flaws and wounds, and not fear that you're going to be looked at as unqualified, as deficient, as is inadequate. Like, these are fears, right? And so in the coaching practice, it's the same way, right? In the public eye, it's the same way. And when you look at it from a spiritual calling, and this is my ministry, like
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm called to do, right? So that means that I got to die to myself every day. I got to put myself on the cross every day. I got to fall on the sword every day
Mm-hmm.
just to show people that it's okay. It's
Mm.
okay. You're gonna live tomorrow. You're gonna come back tomorrow. You got to keep trying. Don't give up. Like, yes, you're flawed, but accept your flaws. Accept your humanness. Right. Understand that we're not perfect, and we're gonna fall short every day. And without getting too spiritual, with
Mm-hmm.
people, but this is the reality. This is the human experience. And we're all going through the same experience. That's the collective universal consciousness that you try to connect people to get them to take it easy on yourself. Right. and,
Right.
it's okay to not be okay, right? And how do I know this? Because I've not been okay, right? and I, and,
Right.
and I could not be okay right now and still be able to speak life into someone else, and that really gives me the reminder. A lot of times pastors, right, I really admire pastors, but I also understand the weight of the mantle that they carry, or religious leaders. Let me not even say pastors, religious leaders, right? Why? It's because the testimonies and the sermons and the messages they give are not often for other people. They are often
Mm.
for themselves, and they say it out loud in front of a congregation and a big body of people that have the ability to judge them for the flaws that they are, but the gift that they have, right? So is it that they're perfect in their life? No. And when you find out that they're not perfect, are they going to get judged and going to get crucified?
Yep.
Yes, they are. But did they bring transformation to people that were just like them? Yep, they did. Did they bring breakthrough? Did they bring healing? Did they bring perspective? Did they bring transfer? Did they help you? Yes, they did, at the risk of exposing themselves.
Mm. I love
Right?
that, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Now, back to our time machine. We went into a wormhole for a second,
We
right? We
did.
got into a rabbit hole or whatever we want to call
It
it.
was good though. It
It
was
was
good.
good. It was good. Now back to the time machine, the game of pretend. The second stop, right? You can pick a moment, top of mind. I can understand there are multiples, but like top of mind, the one that comes up to mind that you felt the most fulfilled, right? Like, oh, this is why I started this. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
what moment would that be?
When I have that aha moment, right? There's a couple of different moments I've had on a personal level, individual level. When someone has that light bulb moment, I call, when you can see them finally awaken and get it, like, that's what it is. Like, that's what I've been trying to say. That's what I've been feeling. With that, because once they see it, they can't unsee it. And
Mm.
being able to frame someone else in a way where they haven't been able to see themselves, and they now see themselves and they can't unsee it, it makes them change it, right? That is probably one of the most fulfilling feelings that I get out of everything that I do, man. That aha moment. Now, it's painful getting there, and they probably will resent you, and they probably will not like you in some cases, especially personally, right? They probably won't, right? But the transformation they receive and the evolution they receive and the person they become on the back end is the confirmation that this is what I was called to do for you. This is like I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping. I'm not just I'm not narcissistically believing that this is just what I'm supposed to do. Like this is genuinely what I'm called to do.
It's
So
freaking
on a
real,
person,
right?
yeah,
That's
this
the
is for
thing.
real.
That's the thing. I see a lot of people talking about mindset and all that, and it is mindset. It is a mindset thing, but there is also a component that is reality. And when you tie that down with the mindset and the reality, that's the moment. It's when you see the transformation. It's not just when you talk about the transformation or oh, you gotta be more this and do that. No, it's like you can you have a tangible thing that happened in front of you that tells you, dude, this is real. You know what I mean?
It's like having someone that changes your life and they can do no wrong in your eyes for the rest of your life. Because it's like, man, listen, I don't care what happens and what happens in life. I will always respect you. I will always acknowledge you. I will never forget what you did in my life and where you came down and pulled me from. Like it's like getting a hug from God, man. And there's been so many people that have come to me and for the services, the messages, the resources, the classes, the workshops that I've been responsible for or been in the lead of, and that have come to me to reaffirm and say, hey, man, that changed my life, man. I haven't forgot it since you said it. I ain't been able to see myself in the same way since. And that is the fulfillment. I've had organizations from a B2B perspective. I've had organizations that have come to me, schools, programs, right, that have come to me and couldn't figure out how to get people engaged, couldn't figure out how to get people to buy in, and have used my programs, brought us in as consultants, brought in Vibe Tribe University to do workshops and programs, and have come to me afterwards and said, hey, it was something about you. It was something about y'all. Like we have been trying to do this for so long, and y'all finally did it. And we knew it was something, right? It gotta be God. Anytime somebody looks at me and praises God for what I was able to do through me or what we were able to do through us, that is the fulfillment. If you look at me and praise God, I'm doing something right.
Love that, man. Now, if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, and Kenny, we're going to have all the links in the description, but what's the best place for people to find you and connect with you?
Personally, I would say from a coaching perspective, one-on-one, go to kennybspeaks.com, where you can sign up for a one-on-one free consultation where we can kind of just talk through what you're going through and figure out if it's the right fit as far as coaching and the resources that we have. At the end of it all, the least that you'll leave with is a nugget and something that will help you be better. Okay.
Mm.
From a course perspective, if you want, more of classes, courses, workshops to help you with your physical, financial, or mental and emotional health, then go to Vibe Tribe U or VibeTribeUniversity.com. And you can find all of our classes, courses, frameworks on there. You can also find us on social media. Kenny B Speaks is all of my social media handles. It's universal across all platforms. And you can also find us at Vibe Tribe University as an organization. That's universal on all platforms as well. So either one of those, you can find us, connect with me, connect with any person from my staff, and we'll be able to help you in any way possible.
Okay. Time to do a little bit of a recap here right now, considering we had such at least in my point of view, a great conversation. Okay. Going to highlight some points. Let's go back to the origin story when we were talking about the jump. And you were like, yeah, that was the scariest thing I did. And the one of the things that empowered me the most, in my life and all of that. And it's about owning your story, right, Kenny? It's about being vulnerable, not shying away from stuff that actually happens in life, right? You're gonna find obstacles, you're gonna find challenges, but at the same time, it's those moments that really you will remember. I think, at least for myself, I remember the rest of my life, right? The moments that you feel really alive. It's like those jumps, those small moments. So there's that. Another thing that I'd love to highlight here is when we were talking about structures given by other people, but that don't work for us. right? When we were onboarding, we were talking about that. And that really hits home, right? So I worked in banking, 2008 happened. I got laid off. And my father kept telling me that he was a VP of a bank. And he told me, hey, I was never fired. I was never fired, right? But he's from a different generation. And he didn't said that in a way to hurt me or anything like that. He was just saying that his entire life for some reason. I don't know why, right? And when I was laid off, he was like so supportive. But at the same time, I didn't open up myself to tell him that, but I held some grudge. Like I felt bad because I was fired. Although I was in Brazil, you know, the US had the subprime crisis, right? It has nothing to do with me. But that's something that really hits home because sometimes we're trying to play someone else's playbook, if that makes any sense. We're looking at other people or trying to follow their steps, but context is different. We're a different person. So that really doesn't apply. That really tends to not land. So there's that. Great reminder.
I got a similar story with my father too. Yeah, man, it's tough.
It's tough. Now, last but not least, I gotta say the doing for free stuff, right?
Yeah.
So twofolded. Well, first of all, commitment. To me, that's the key word. If you have no commitment, no skin in the game, it changed the game entirely. First, it reminds me of a meme, right? There's a fridge on the sidewalk, and there's a note. It says, "Free, take it." A week goes by, nobody picks it up, right? So someone adds a price tag, $50. You know what happens the next day? It vanishes, right? So it's a perception of value. People tend to perceive free as worthless, you know? So there's that, which is, I understand their point of view, but it's sad at the same time because sometimes you have coaches doing great pro bono work and they're being no-showed for some reason, exactly that reason most of the time. And also this reminds me of more of a fun story too, which is the commitment still. Playing Texas Hold'em with my buddies in the college days, right? $0 in the pot. Everyone is so courageous, Kenny. It's all ins and all that. It's left and right. And dude, you place $1, the game changed entirely. It's like, oh, wait a minute, right? So this was just my long-winded way of saying, sorry about my TED talk here. I appreciate what you do, man. And I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today. You know, it was great having you on.
Pedro, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I really, truly believe success does leave clues, man. If there's any pillars of success, any breadcrumbs that I left to help people find the cheese, man, then I really hope that I was able to add some value and perspective, man, for coaches that's going through similar things, no matter where they are in their career, in the beginning, in the middle, or if you're an experienced coach and just trying to learn something new to reinvigorate your why. You know, I hope that I'm able to add something to it. And if anybody wants to connect, I'm so happy to do so. But I love what you're doing. I really appreciate the fact that you give us the platform to be able to get out, to speak to other coaches and individuals about what our journeys are. So keep walking in your purpose too, man. So, you know, success does leave clues, man, and you're leaving plenty of them. So thank you.
Appreciate you.
That's it for this episode. This episode, as well as this podcast, was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help business owners elevate their business to 6, 7, and 8-figure years, all without burning out. If you're looking to grow your business, as well as get the time freedom that you are looking for, visit us at joinpurplecircle.com and see what we can do to help you and your business.